Hey, you're listening to the Road to a Billion podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Georgi, and I'm glad to have you here with me today. The Road to a Billion is a call-in radio show where you can ask me questions about freelancing, copywriting, entrepreneurship, mindset, scaling funnels, relationships, money, really almost anything. And the whole point of this show is to help you, to give you authentic feedback, to go deep and have really strong conversations that can allow you to level up or improve some aspect of your career and your life. The reason it's called A Road to a Billion is a double entendre. I'm going to hit $1 billion in sales this year for my own products and those of for copywriting for clients. And I also want to make an impact on the lives of 1 billion people in the next 20 years. And I mean like a real impact, not just say heard my name or something, but I've done something in some level. I've affected them and helped them to have a better quality of life. So we're going to start taking calls in about 5 minutes from now. The way it works is just put your questions into the Q&A section of Zoom here. And then my good friend, Mr. Ed Reay, will be reviewing the questions and feeding them to me. So he'll kind of say what your question is about. He'll unmute you. You can kind of share more details about the question. Then we will talk through it together. Ed, you want to go ahead and say hi and introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Ed Reay, and I am a Facebook compliance specialist. I help people get their funnels Facebook friendly so they can, get some of those Zuck bucks. What a unique intro today.
That was a good one. Yeah. The Zuck bucks it's a real thing.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Dude, high ROI, baby.
That's
all
right.
So are we ready to answer some questions?
We are not. I am going to start in about 5 minutes, but first I'm going to do my little opening monologue that I do here in general. And yeah, we'll start answering in 5 minutes. We're going to make sure you put your questions in the Q&A section. Today, the thing I want to talk about, and I sent this to my email list this morning as well and put it on Facebook and stuff. So you probably saw me talking about it a little bit, but it's the idea about how what I really love about freelancing and digital marketing, eComm, all of those things is the speed with which things can happen. The reason I wrote about that this morning and that I'm talking about today, I've got Jude Charles out here with me. He's doing the next episode in the documentary series we're doing kind of about me and my mission and my copy. And yesterday he was asking about why I'm so passionate around freelancing. Why do I care so much about freelancing? And I thought about it. And part of it is definitely that I don't want to be beholden to anybody. Like I'd like to have optionality. I like to be able to be my own boss and set my own hours. I don't want to feel obligated to do anything. Like I told Jude yesterday, and it's true that I can't remember the last time I woke up and felt like I have to work or felt like I didn't want to work. Every single day I wake up and I'm just excited to start doing stuff. And that's incredible. When you have a job, for me at least, a lot of the times I would wake up and have this panic or anxiety. Like I don't want to go spend the next 10 hours of my day in this job doing this stuff that I don't want to do. And I don't have a choice, right? You don't get to not go to work. You can call out sick a couple times, but eventually you get fired. But another huge part of it is your earnings potential. With like a corporate job, typically you make $4,000 a month and you're a good worker and you work hard and you contribute a lot and do all that. By the end of the year, the average employee can expect to get a 4.6% increase to their salary, which means you go from $4,000 a month to $4,184 a month. Whereas as a freelancer, and for example, as a freelance copywriter, you can start out charging $150 or $200 per project. And by the end of a year, if you've been studying copy and really focusing and working hard and networking and doing the right things, you can easily be getting paid $1,000 or $2,000 per project for the same types of projects. So you can go from $2,000 per month in earnings to $10,000 a month in earnings, which is like a 500% increase in salary versus a 4.6% increase in salary, which is incredible, right? That happens in freelancing, and it happens online with digital marketing and copywriting and a lot of the things that I talk about. And that's why I love that stuff. And you can do the same thing with offers as well, right? And funnels and businesses. Like I wrote about in the email today, the average retail store owner makes $51,000 per year per location. That's why people try to franchise or they try to open 10 locations because, oh man, if I open 10 locations, I can make $510,000 per year. But it's a lot of work and risk and overhead and all of these things to open 10 locations. Even if you say you make 100,000 per year net and you open 10, you get to $1 million per year net. That's awesome. But it's crazy how much work that is. Whereas with a funnel or an eComm store or building something online, you can launch almost any business for less than $5,000 online. And in a single year, you can go from zero in sales to 20 million, 40 million, 50 million, or even if you want to be more, modest, a couple million. So you can make way more in your first year than you'll make in the next 5 years doing traditional retail. And the reason why is speed. I mean, I talked about in the email today how there's never been a more level playing field as far as entrepreneurship or business and things like that, and freelancing, working. Like, there's never been a more level playing field. It's all possible because of what we can do with the internet and online. And that's why I love that stuff. So I want to just really point that out to you guys as well, because I just feel like this is really, it's crucial for you to understand that. And there's a mindset component too, because it's hard to imagine. Like, somebody responded to my email today and was like, I have a hard time believing that many freelancers can make $10,000 a month. But then Ed can attest, in Copy Accelerator, we have all these freelancers who come in making not that much and who are now making way more than that. Like, you don't have to share numbers, but you've quadrupled your income since you went out on your own.
I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna say specific numbers. June 1st, about 2 weeks ago or so, before doing any work, I'd already tripled my full income for the month back when I was working at my old copywriting job.
Yeah. So that doesn't suck.
Okay.
Troy Erickson, who's also in Copy Accelerator now, he told me I did a freelancing event in, I guess it was like late November, early December. He was making $6,000 a month. That was the best he'd ever made as a freelancer. And then he came to our event Copy Accelerator event in February. March, he shared his numbers with me, so I think it's okay to share with you. March, he did like 20,000. April, he did over 30,000. And then March, he did over 20,000 again. But like, literally, if you look at all of these people, I'm using Copy Accelerator members a lot because they're in my orbit, but like, there's all these people who are now making 15, 20, 30, 40,000 who they've 3x, 4x, 5x their income. And that's not like, there's no pitch in this, right? This isn't like a webinar that turns into a pitch. The point is, it's entirely possible. It helps with having mentorship. It helps with having the right people, but it's also a mindset thing, because if you go from 5,000 to 15,000, you have to feel like people have a self-worth issue, or I don't deserve this. It's happening too fast. I shouldn't be able to get this money, right? Like, and then they self-sabotage. They don't do the work, or they go out and spend it on some dumb shit. They go buy a Ferrari and over-leverage themselves. They do just dumb things. That's mental. That's in here. So there are two parts to it. But I love speed, and people say that money loves speed, and that's why money loves what we do with online marketing, entrepreneurship, eComm, and all of these things. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I think it's an important thing to share. And it is totally spoken about in The Big Leap, the self-sabotage. Again, we've talked about The Big Leap. We'll probably talk about it every episode because it's such an awesome, amazing book. But yeah, it's really important. So with that being said, Ed, do you want to go ahead and move into answering some questions?
Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay. All right. We gotta. And by the way, can I just quickly drop one thing based on my personal experience?
Drop as many things as you want.
Okay. All right.
Yo.
All right. Just gonna, let the record show I dropped my wallet in front of the camera. So when you're talking about mentorship, I remember when I was at your Copy Accelerator event, and I was thinking about leaving my my old job, and you're like, dude, you could easily clean up 15K. Remember? And I was like, what? I was like, no, bro, no way. And then it's like the first month of me leaving, my old job, I already did that. It's like, okay, it's pretty sick when you have the right people around you, the right connections, and just like the right support network. It's truly, really powerful.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that it's just, those opportunities are out there, but I think the support is important. And part of what we're doing with this show, the reason I'm doing this and pointing it out there and recording it, is to be part of your support network for everyone who's on this, call. And then for people who will watch the replay or listen to the replay, it's really to provide that. I can't mentor everybody individually, but my hope is that, you can ask questions, we can talk through things, and I can help, you guys all accelerate whatever you're doing and get to where you want to go faster.
There we go. And someone in the chat even said that last month Daniel Sherlock made 1K last month, and this month he's due to make 5.5 because of Stefan.
You know, doing what I can. But it's awesome, Daniel. Congratulations on that. That's really, really incredible.
All right, so let's get to the first question. First up, we have Kimi Do. Kimi says, I did research by looking at 5-star and 1-star reviews on Amazon. How do I do effective research and narrow down to the best unique mechanism? And is it okay to have more than one mechanism?
Cool. Hey, Kimi, how are you?
Hi, Stefan. Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Okay, awesome on the research. And then regarding the mechanism stuff, you're just curious about where to find the best mechanism. Is that kind of part one?
Yeah, the best place to find it.
What, are you working in a specific niche or do you work in a variety of niches?
Yeah, I'm mainly focusing on the clean beauty niche right now.
Okay, cool. Can you explain what clean beauty is so I fully understand it?
Yeah, it's like products that are eco-friendly. They're eComm products and cruelty-free, like cruelty fragrance.
Cool.
And like face washes and things like that.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. Yeah. So for stuff like that, there's two approaches you can really take with finding the mechanism. And real quickly, for people who are going to watch this and don't know what a mechanism is or what we're talking about, one thing I really teach is the unique mechanism behind a problem and behind a solution. So whenever you're selling to somebody, you want to explain the real reason why they haven't been able to resolve a pain point in the past, and you want to be able to explain how your product or service is going to provide a solution when other things have failed previously. So as far as something with like ingredients in it, the two ways you can go down that path would be, if some of the ingredients are kind of well known, you can sort of start Googling those ingredients and study. So for example, well, actually, let me ask one more question. Is it more products for like makeup, or is it more like wrinkles or dark spots or, age lines or things like that? Is it more functional or is it more cosmetic?
I would say it's more functional.
Okay.
Like a little bit of anti-aging and like preserving the skin.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So some things that there's two approaches I typically take for this. One is you can go through the ingredients and look at some of the kind of common, actually, well, not common, but I guess natural, weighty ingredients that you know are good, and you can start doing searches for that ingredient. And then I always add in NCBI after, which is the database for like PubMed, and it's like a health database. So if I, for example, just say it has turmeric in it, if I'm like turmeric, skin, NCBI, I'm going to find a bunch of interesting studies about how, turmeric in a topical solution, reduce wrinkles by 27%. And then they don't just go there because these are scientific studies. They'll be like, we think the reason why is because turmeric is anti-inflammatory and targets the NK15 like enzyme that's in your body, and that usually causes wrinkles, but turmeric helps to like minimize it. So I'm making up the NK15 thing, but if you go through there, you'll find interesting stuff, not just about what the ingredients do, but how they work. And you may even find commonalities or similarities. So say that, turmeric does that, but collagen also does that. And elderberry extract does that too. Like, so you can if you start doing that and going through ingredients and noting studies and you find commonalities, that is the way you can kind of unify around a unique mechanism. Does that make sense?
So is it about like finding commonalities between a lot of good ingredients that are in the product?
Yeah, ideally, right? So if you look at, the one thing you'll kind of find is that a lot of times if a bunch of ingredients help with something, they're all kind of doing the same thing. So whether that's reducing inflammation or promoting the growth of collagen in a skincare product, or adding hydration, right? Like hyaluronic acid adds hydration, collagen adds hydration. So you'll generally find that there are commonalities there. So that would be one of the approaches. Yeah. If this makes sense, but does that make sense, Kimi?
Yeah, super helpful.
Okay, cool. But then here's the thing: the other way you can do it is you can also go somewhere like sciencedaily.com, which is a website that I really love. And you can sort of search for specific problems. Like you could search wrinkles or dark spots or anti-aging or skincare. And if you do things like that, you'll generally find basically Science Daily takes all of the new findings from the scientific community, publishes them all with like good headlines and abstracts and kind of a write-up and easy to understand language that's for the everyday person. And so when you do that, you may go through and you may find that there's some study about some newly discovered molecule that is responsible for rapid aging in our face once we hit 50. And if you find that, say you find that, again, using an example, I would just take whatever that molecule is, or so say it's called, I'm going to make something completely random up, like the PSF molecule, right? Then you can just Google like turmeric PSF NCBI. And what you often find, crazily enough, is that there's all these random studies that will be like, turmeric helps to reduce PSF. So then if you have like studies that say turmeric helps with wrinkles or skincare, and then there's also, saying that turmeric specifically helps with this PSF thing. Again, I'm just making up random acronyms, but the point being, if you do that, then suddenly you have like a unique mechanism there. You can be like, oh, the real reason for, aging skin is one of the real reasons is this little known but newly discovered molecule called PSF. And so we need to like target that. And fortunately, here are these natural ingredients that do it. Does that make sense to you?
So it's about connecting like a problem that you find on Science Daily, like a unique, like a molecule that causes problems, and then connecting that back to like a beneficial ingredient in the product. Is that what
Yeah, so I'm giving you two approaches. So the first one was like find commonalities in the ingredients by looking at studies on them. And then this other option or alternative is, you find the problem first, you find an interesting problem, then you kind of check the ingredients to see if they have been shown to help with the problem. Because what you just end up finding is that for a lot of natural ingredients, they ultimately, it's almost just like a chicken or an egg thing, because they're ultimately working in a very common way. Like they're doing the same thing. Like again, like everything's anti-inflammatory, right? Like, or a bunch of stuff have antioxidants. And so typically what you'll find is like, no matter, shockingly enough, whatever the thing is, if you like, whatever the weird molecule or enzyme or whatever, you'll almost always find that there've been some studies that show that whatever ingredient you have, like that several of those ingredients actually target this thing. So that's how you approach it that way.
Oh, awesome. And I have one last question.
Sure.
So if you're writing a Facebook ad for one of these products, like, would you focus more on the negativity because of the lexicon thing for the Facebook? Like, would you focus more on the negativity side or try to be more positive?
I would, and I'll let Ed chime in too, because he's our resident Facebook compliance expert, but I would generally try to be more positive, simply because Facebook doesn't like negativity and you're going to have more trouble with ads being approved. I think, you can talk about stuff like, I was frustrated with my skin. Like I felt like I looked older than my years, and that no matter what I tried, I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. But then I discovered one of the real reasons behind the wrinkles that were bothering me. And, and it was surprisingly simple to start addressing them and enjoy a healthy, beautiful skin. Now I'm sharing it with others, whatever, like click here to see how it works, something like that. So you can kind of talk about a frustrating experience, but you don't want to really be like tired of wrinkles and feeling old and ugly, like if you do that, like you're going to get in a lot of trouble. Ed, do you want to add anything to that as I said, our resident Facebook compliance expert?
Yeah, for sure. One thing that's really, really important is definitely, like Stefan said, keeping it more positive, because one thing Facebook really hates is when you make the user feel bad. So calling out directly their insecurities, problems, things they may have faced in the past that didn't work potentially even, and directly saying like, maybe you tried XYZ and it didn't work, because then somebody will go, oh, well, how does Facebook know about me? Are they selling my data? And because of the Cambridge Analytica scam in 2018 or scandal, they don't want people feeling like that. So like Stefan said, just be sure to keep it more positive. and focus more on third party or neutral statements. So instead of, you know, or first person statements. So it would be, like Stefan said, I didn't like my skin, or most people, you know, or most women who, you know, are moms or whatever, have a hard time looking in the mirror and feeling beautiful because, you know, of their kids, stretch marks, whatever. You can get away with a lot more if you make it about other people or a third party, or it's a neutral statement instead of saying you.
Okay, so instead of saying you, talk more about like me, like what happened to me or what happened to most people, like most people, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you know that ad that I wrote where it's like one of the greatest struggles in today's world is being stuck in a dead-end job. Most people writing on Facebook would just put, oh, hate your job, right? But you have to make it a third party or neutral.
Ah, got it. So don't directly call out people.
Precisely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Precisely.
Okay, thank you so much, Ed. Thank
Awesome.
you, Stefan.
Yeah.
My pleasure, Kimi.
Thanks, Kimi.
All
All right, Ed,
awesome.
who do we got next?
Who we got next? Oh, this is a really good question. I'm excited for this one, actually. Next question is from Daniel Sherlock. He asks, any quick ways to over-deliver for clients when handing in copy?
What's up, Daniel?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, as you know, I'm pretty much just starting. But it'd be great to know if there are any quick ways that, when I'm approaching the deadline, I finish the copy and I'm ready to hand in, but obviously I'd love to over deliver and make the client really happy. Are there any easy ways, quick ways I can do that?
Yeah. What are you writing all kinds of copy, or are you mostly writing one type of copy, as in like, sales letters, emails, Facebook ads, that kind of stuff?
So far, just the sales letters.
Cool. Yeah. So the biggest and easiest thing you can do is to give them some variance. So if it were me, I'd give them some alternative headlines to test, maybe give them 3 to 5 headlines, and you could even give them an alternative lead to test as well. So an alternative intro. Those things, shouldn't take too long. Even if the lead is the first like couple hundred words of it, it's like a bit of a different angle. Doing little things like that go a really long way. The one thing I found, people do this when people have taken this advice that I've given, which is awesome. But as a client who hires copywriters, if somebody gives me a sales letter, but the first page is like 10 headlines, then I feel kind of like overwhelmed and I'm sort of annoyed. I'm like, why didn't you pick the best one? Right. So I don't think you want to kind of overwhelm somebody with a ton of headlines. If anything, what I would do is I would give them the draft of the letter with whatever headline you think the best is. And then in a separate document, be like, hey, here's 3 to 5 additional headlines that, you can test. Or, hey, here's an additional lead I wrote so you can test this as a variant. Just doing a little thing like that will differentiate you from 98% of the other freelancers out there who are all trying to like do the minimum amount of work and then just get paid and move on to the next project. So I think that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Beautiful. All right. Next up, another good question. Lots of good questions. Good variety. We have Josh Knox, and he asks, first question.
Uh-oh.
Do you ever get too close to the product you're writing about? And if so, how do you step back and get back to the right perspective?
What's up, Josh?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing really well, thanks.
Good. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so background is I've been basically trying to write a sales letter for the last 10 months for this company that I'm working for. And I didn't find your RMBC until, of course, the Copy Accelerator stuff back in February. So since then, I've been working on using that. But I feel like over the past 10 months of trying to run the marketing for this company, write a sales letter, everything you can think of that would launch the offer that they have. I feel like I'm now too close. And the reason that the guy that owns the company hired me was because I was completely outside of the industry that we're in. And so I still feel like I have a fresh perspective and I'm not jaded, but I also feel like I'm getting really close to it. And so I kind of get blinded by the copy that I've been writing for so long now.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you're not alone. I actually gave Ed that advice in the Copy Accelerator Facebook group just last night because he's been working on something and he started kind of like overthinking it a little bit. The biggest things I do in those cases, I mean, one is if you can walk away from it, if you can just put it off for like a week or two and you know, at least a few days and come back to it, I do think that helps to come back with fresh eyes. I mean, you've been working on it. Let me understand that, Josh, because you've been working on it for like 10 months, this letter.
So, I mean, maybe that's a little bit of an overstatement. I've been working for the company as a contractor for the last 10 months, but it's to handle all of their marketing. I'm in effect a contracted CMO for the company.
Got it.
So in that time, you know, I used marketing tactics from my past, things like StoryBrand, right, where it tells you to simplify the message. And like I said, I didn't find your approach to this until, you know, the early part of the year and then attended Copy Accelerator. So it's not that I've been writing this sales letter itself. It's that I've been going through the entire range of what marketing should be for this particular product.
Right.
Which is a no fee payment processing product.
Right.
And if you understand anything about the payment processing world, there is literally a million different combinations to come up with a payment processing program. So it's that where I feel like I get blinded, almost like it's so difficult to niche down into what I want to say that I keep pulling back and looking at the entirety of the puzzle.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, the way I think about for something like this, and I don't think you necessarily need like a really long form sales letter for what you're selling. I think you can totally test that. And I mean, which is kind of maybe you're doing all these different marketing like kind of things. So you're already kind of doing that. I'd look at probably like a 7 to 10, 12-minute video for it, or a script if you're gonna do that. But I would focus on the main pain point, which is like, I mean, what people hate are getting hammered by surprise fees. I mean, the biggest thing is someone who's run, you know, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions is like, I hate when I feel like I've made a certain amount of money and then I look at all these random fees or these sort of things I paid for transactions and realize that it's eating into my profit and that I feel like it's never actually disclosed to me, right? It is, I mean, it is for sure. But you kind of think like the rates, whatever it is, like it's 3.5%. And you're like, okay, cool, 3.5%. But then you look at it and it's like actually an effective rate of 5% or 6% or something crazy. And that's a huge difference. What Josh does in the company he works for, just for people for context, is they basically pass those fees on to the consumer. So the consumer pays your processing fees for you. And it's completely legal and it's like, you know, supported by Visa and MasterCard or whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to, you're the expert in it, Josh, but it is a really cool thing. And this is for like retail, physical retail merchants, people who are selling at stores, all this kind of stuff. But it's a really cool thing. So I would probably focus on like the 1 or 2 really big pain points. And then, you know, the solution, which is pass it on to your consumer and then answering the objection of, is my consumer going to be pissed? Is the customer going to be pissed that I'm paying for the fees? And really, you know, showing how it's not, and then giving those case studies and the proof elements, which is stuff you've been working on. The other thing, Josh, I would say is as CMO though, it may come a time where you just, if you're too close to this, like just hire somebody or get them to agree to hire somebody. Like you don't have to pay, you know, $15,000 or $20,000 for the script. You can probably hire a good writer to write a variant for like $2,000 or $3,000. And if they have the budget, maybe they'll hire a couple people and you can test a couple video scripts or text sales letters. But because your role is CMO, not like the copywriter, like I understand wanting to master copy, but in your case, maybe the best thing to do is to just remove yourself and be okay with that and make sure they're okay with it, but they should be, because they didn't hire you to be the copywriter. They hired you to help grow their business and do the marketing and bring in new customers and things like that. So that's kind of what comes to my mind. Does that stuff make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And you did hit all the rules and regulations the right way. I mean, the program is 100% legal, and the pain points you talked about are the pain points that I research and have found in research. And so, and that's the main objection. Well, my customers will be pissed. So I keep going over this long form sales letter almost in an effort to, I think, in my own mind, understand how it's going to work for my consumer, which I think is a good thing. But then wondering, am I saying too much? Because some of the top people running this program right now, at least from our perspective, and when you try and use something like SimilarWeb or other products out there that look for these companies, there just isn't a lot of them. There might be two. And those two people are really saying the same thing, and the offer is the same from start to finish. And it is a direct offer, which is get 0% payment processing. And for whatever reason, we're not getting the sales like these other companies are. So everything that you says makes sense, that you're saying makes sense. It is where it's like, just like I said in the beginning, how do you step back from being a little bit too close to it? And I asked this question in a different way in the Justin and Stefan Talk copy group, which was, should I write a long form sales letter and then just use that as my foundation for how I put the marketing message out there?
Yeah.
So yeah, everything you're saying makes sense. I would like to step back. Most of what we're doing, just by way of background, because I'll continue to ask questions on these calls because it's
Good.
awesome what you're doing. But what I feel like is to write that letter, leave it be the foundation, because we've got to get sales in order to support hiring more people. So I'm the starting gate to get more sales, while at the same time trying to pull us up by our bootstraps, literally, with very little budget to work with. So
I do wonder, because your main call to action is to like book a call, right? It's like book a call, find out how.
Yeah, I just want to get our sales team leads coming in the door.
Yeah, and I think for that, like, yeah, you just really don't need a long form letter. I think, again, if you want to write one just so it is beneficial to you on some level, then go for it. But I think it really needs to be, a brilliant way to provide zero fee, like merchant processing and transactions, so that business owners get more money in their pocket and can grow their business and thrive. You know what I mean? Like, find out how, like, completely compliant, completely legal, supported by the big companies, and whatever, click here, and then like some testimonials like around it. I just feel like that's kind of what your first page was, I feel like, but maybe even then you overcomplicated it. I remember seeing the very first landing page when you were in Copy Accelerator briefly before the event, when we put everyone in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just focus on that, like just a really clear, clean value proposition, and put a little more onus on the sales team on the call to explain how it works. Because you don't have to give away too much. I think you want to get people interested, and then just show like testimonials and social proof that other people are doing this and it really is working. So like they believe it works and they trust it, and then get them on the call and let the sales team do the work. And then there's a copy opportunity too, right? Because like I'm sure they have scripts, so maybe there's some stuff to play with there for the sales team, so they can close or convert people at a higher rate. But that's the way I think about it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And because we did drive leads before, and the way the profit structure works in payment processing, which you might be aware of, is I could spend probably $500 to get a client, and in the first 2 months I'll be profitable. And then because the way payment processing works long term, the profit margin's huge.
Yeah.
So that's why I found the Copy Accelerator so fascinating. One, from the copy perspective, but two, because a lot of what direct response copywriting is in getting hundreds and thousands of sales a day. And I literally need to make one sale a day to generate $1 million in net income from this program. So it's like, where do you draw the line of what you're doing?
Yeah, no, totally. Well, hey, Ed, real quick, I want to get because you've done a lot of like lead gen stuff, like when your previous job, and copy and funnels and things of that nature, and you're helping some people with like lead gen stuff right now as well. In your experience of doing those types of funnels, is it, including you've done lead gen where then it was to get somebody on a call, right, for high ticket things that you were trying to close. What are some of your experiences with, as far as the messaging, the length of the page, the copy goes, all that kind of stuff?
I think it's a really great question. So
Totally
by
put you
lead
on the
gen,
spot.
yeah, but it's okay. I'm used to it. I've had worse situations. Been put on the spot. It's fine. By lead gen, basically just going to a phone call, right?
Yeah, book a call.
Got it. Actually, the best that I've ever seen, we had this one page going for quite a while, and it sold a $2,500 course to cold traffic. I think it was converting. It wasn't like crazy good, but it was pretty good, with no optimization or nothing. It was like this, I think like 10 or 15 page sales letter where it basically it had like the big idea, and it kind of like broke down explaining what the idea was about, and then just book a call for more information to see if you apply or you qualify. And that seemed to work really well, actually. I think we were getting I think it was like between $1,000 to $2,000 for every $2,500 purchase, and our LTV was, insane. So it was totally affordable. It made sense.
That's cool. And that was for a really high ticket. Because the cool thing with, like, Josh, is there like a startup fee for them to get started?
No, and that's a really good question, because oftentimes when we do talk to leads, they're like, it just sounds too good to be true, so it can't be true. It's that classic, what we're really offering and it really works does sound too good to be true, because we can take like our average client would be processing $50K a month in card sales. And their average ticket might be $25. So this works like really great in restaurants or convenience stores or stuff like that. And we can save that person about $1,500 a month on average with no startup costs. And the second you say that to somebody, their mind's just blown. And they immediately, like, their cognitive dissonance just kicks in, like, you can't believe that could never work for me. I've never experienced that. I don't even know anyone that's experiencing that. And so it just blows their mind. But the short answer is no, there's no startup cost.
Yeah, perfect. So for that, I really feel like, just like getting them to book the call and focus on that value proposition and then social proof, and then kind of handling their cognitive dissonance on the call as much as possible. To me, I think that's probably going to be the most successful funnel.
A great lesson I learned from one of my buddies, he said the other day, which was really cool, is marketing should make sales pretty much like useless. Meaning like your marketing is so good, like any schmuck can get on the phone and close it.
And that's what I've been after. That's why the long form sales letter for me, so that I can put my sales team in a position to just take the order. Like, hey, I heard everything you said. I love it. I want it. How can I get started? Yeah, that's what I'm after.
So if the cognitive dissonance thing is like a real issue for your sales team, definitely I'd recommend that you address that in your copy. Like, before you even talk about the fact that there's no upfront cost, maybe you just like really address it and how it works. Because I think if they can understand how it works and even be transparent about the business model, I think that might actually help quite a bit. Because it's like, hey, you know what? We don't charge up front because we want to be different, but we do charge to do X, Y, Z, or I forget what your exact business model is. But I think just that extra layer of transparency can help remove it's too good to be true, because what people forget about is, sure, there may not be any upfront cost, but they forget that there's costs afterwards for whatever reason. So they think if there's no cost up front, it's free. But if you can be like, well, sure, there's no cost up front, but we do charge X, Y, Z over time or whatever it is, it helps remove some of that resistance, because people are like, oh, it's free. It can't, like, it sounds too good.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense to me completely. It's the person that we're talking to that just can't. We haven't figured out how to get them over that hump. The first response is, oh, my customers will never go for it. That's always the first response. Mm-hmm. And the reality is in the market that we're after, the fee that we're passing on to the average customer is $1.
Yeah, which is like the customers just don't my that often.
Nobody cares about $1.
You can even test like a headline of essentially being like, my customers will never go for that. Like, you know, like literally as like the headline or one of the first lines, like that's what so-and-so told me. In fact, I hear it all the time when I explain that they can actually pass on all the merchant processing fees to their customer, increase their profit margin by X% and put Y amount of money back into their business. And yet it keeps happening again and again. So-and-so in Buffalo did this at their restaurant and found that they had an extra $25,000 in their checking account at the end of the first quarter. So another person did this, another person did that. And right now I'll show you how you can do the same thing to ethically pass on your processing fees to happily paying customers without having to spend a penny up front and without having to make any long-term contractual commitments or something of that nature. I think, you know, maybe something where that whole lead is just like, you know, basically, hey, people thought, you know, they laughed when I told them they could get no, you know, thing, but, that kind of stuff. So Josh, I do want to hop on to some other calls here.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Glad it's recorded. Now I can extract it out and reveal what you just said.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Thanks for.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. All right, Ed, what do we who do we got next here?
Next up, we got Shurya Raghav, and Shurya is 15 years old and just entered the whole space of copywriting, digital marketing, and freelancing. What's your take on what I should focus on as the most just starting out? And to me, Ed, if you were 15 again, what would you have done differently than what you actually did?
Hey, Ed, like last year when you were 15.
Hey, fuck you.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, how you doing? Good. You got a little bit of static on the background, but that's all good, man. So, so you're 15?
Yes.
That's incredible. And the first part of it, I'll take the first part and we'll let Ed do the second part, which is where we'll be focusing. What are you doing so far to kind of study copy and things like that?
I have taken one of the courses of Onyx Single, and I'm just like going. I think I'm niching down on the fitness niche, and I have just like subscribed to all the Agora newsletters for like the INH and the headline things like that.
Cool. Have you written anything for any clients yet?
Nope.
Cool. And what are your main goals? Are just creating income as a copywriter?
My main goal is like, basically start freelancing and be something like you and Ed, make a really good impact on this whole industry.
Cool. That's amazing, man. So jealous of you starting at your age. If I were you, and if you can just mute yourself while I answer, just because there's a little bit of background noise. And then if I have questions, I'll bring you back on. But I mean, I think you're doing the right thing by studying. Like, I think you have to look at having some luxury of time here, because at your age, like you could spend the next year or two studying and whatever, and by the time you're 17 or 18, be like really, 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 really good and be really high paid. I don't think you have to wait that long to make money. I'm not somebody who, right, age is arbitrary. Everything's arbitrary. People think, talk about things like that. And like, I don't care if you're, 12 or you're 100, like, right. If you are smart, intelligent, a good writer, motivated, driven, all of these things, and you can absolutely crush it. And so I think age is arbitrary. So it's not because of that. It's just that you do have a beautiful luxury of not, I'm assuming you don't have any kids yet, probably. If you do, that's amazing too. Cause you'll be like a grandpa by the time you're like 40, but, so I would study, I keep studying, I keep doing what you're doing. I'd look at all of the copy that's going right now. And that's, that's working. So I'd be looking at, a swipe file. I'd be studying headlines. I'd be studying winning sales letters. Like, you can go on ClickBank, create an account as an affiliate, go through and see all the top offers in the biz op space, the business space, make money online space, find out all the stuff on the first page, read the headlines, read the copy, read the stories, do all that. copy stuff down, write it. I don't do by hand, like physical handwriting, but you can type that stuff up. Join Facebook groups like you're doing, get on email lists like you're doing. And then I would go out and start getting clients, because the thing that will make you the best is to actually actively write and to get paid to do it. That's where you are going to learn the most. You can learn a ton from studying stuff, but you'll learn even more from from just actually actively writing. So you can create an account on like Upwork, which I've talked about before, and I'm sure you're familiar with that freelancing platform. You can share in different Facebook groups, your story. There's the Call to Copy job board where they have people posting. My personal opinion on this would be that on places like Upwork, I would not generally tell people my age if I were you, because I think on Upwork, you're gonna get a broader kind of swath of people, and people who will think, oh, if I'm not hiring some 15-year-old, right? Even though that's a stupid mentality for them to have, but some people are going to have that. By the way, you may have to have somebody help you create an Upwork account, but there I wouldn't, but I think it can work to your benefit as a unique value proposition and a selling point for other places. So I think if you're sharing in other groups, hey, I'm 15, I'm obsessed with copy, I'm studying, here's all the things I'm doing, here's all the work I'm putting in, and I'm really looking to get clients. Stefan Georgi told me that I should start getting as many clients as I can and doing work. So I'm looking for opportunities. If anybody wants to test out a 15-year-old and see how I can write better than a 40-year-old, hit me up. I'd love to help. So I think like in that perspective, because I think that in our industry specifically, like direct response and eComm and everything, people are going to like that. Like I'm not hiring anybody at this moment, but if I was like kind of had a need at the moment, I saw like a 15-year-old kid like post in there and be like, hey, I'm studying stuff, I'm hungry. I'd be like, that's sick. I want to hire this kid and give them that opportunity. I think there's a lot of people out there like me who would feel the same way. So I think within groups and forums and things like that, you can totally leverage it and get clients. And then the last couple of things I would say is I wouldn't worry too much about what the pay is. I think you should get paid, but I think, I would worry less about trying to get like $5,000 for a gig or something, and more about the experience and building the portfolio and the momentum that will happen from paying clients. So somebody pays you $50 for something, awesome. Next thing you know, you're getting 150, great. Next thing you know, it's 500, and so on, until by the time you're 18, you're charging 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is for stuff, and you're in Copy Accelerator and crushing it. And Ed Ray's jealous because he's an old man at that point. So that's sort of where my mind goes. And then, Ed, I'd love to have you answer the second part of Shura's question as well.
For sure. So I love all that you said, dude, about the whole age thing. For those who don't know, I started my copywriting journey when I was 11.
The Doogie Howser of copywriting.
Sorry?
You're like the Doogie Howser MD of copywriting. I don't know if you know who Doogie Howser is. Maybe you're too young.
I was born in 2000, bro. I have no idea. Sorry, dude. So just like some brief overview. I'll be real quick. I wanted this girl to like me when I was in like 6th grade or something. And I looked up how to get girls to like me. And so I got in the world of copywriting as a consumer in the dating niche. So every day I was reading emails, watching VSLs. So copywriting is in my blood at this point. So at 15, I started taking on freelance clients. By the time I was 17, I was charging 250 USD an hour, and I was making 4.5K a month, still in high school. And then I joined job for 2.5 years, and now I'm just having a good time. But yeah, for sure. I don't know if I would do anything differently, but I guess I should talk about what I did, because I feel like people don't really know what I did. So one huge thing is building a name for yourself, almost just like being known as the person who does something, like whatever that happens to be for you. If you go to the Cult of Copy job board, I branded myself pretty clearly. And I stirred up a whole bunch of controversy in that group. I think I got like 30 people kicked out of the group from one post. all intentional. I made like 3,000 plus bucks off that post from jobs and stuff. Be super polarizing, get people's attention, hang out in Facebook groups where your avatar is, and drum up some noise. That's like my favorite method, is to have something super, super polarizing and get a bunch of people talking about it while your post is promoting yourself. That's what I did. That was my flagstone post. And I did because I'm a breakdancer. So I had a photo of myself doing like a breakdance pose. So it caught extra attention. And there's a whole story about how my parents were going to kick me out of the house because I wasn't going to go to college. So yeah, it's a good time. So like half the people were like arguing that I should go to college, and then half the people were trying to hire me because I'm a young gun just trying to make it. And so like, and then there's this back and forth. I think so. Most posts would only get like a few comments, maybe a few likes. My one post got like 60 comments plus like 70 likes or some shit. It was nuts. And so that's really the most important thing, is just standing out and branding yourself. Like I was the 17-year-old who's getting kicked out of my parents' place. Like that was my branding. And people, like Stefan said, they want to support the young guns. They want to help the up and comers. They want to give them a shot. Like you don't have to be charging crazy amounts. You don't have to do it for free either, but you have to put yourself out there. That's the most important thing.
Hey, Shura, one more question. Where do you live?
I'm from India.
Perfect. So I'd even leverage that. I'd be like I'll have you mute yourself one more time just because of the background. But like, for example, one guy who reached out to me who I've then helped, I got him a job where he was making, I don't know, 3, 4, 5,000 a month, whatever it is now, but he's in Nigeria, and he hit me up and he was like, every time I reach out to people and like tell them that I'm from Nigeria, they think I'm just like a prince who's trying to scam them. And he kind of made a joke about it, and it was really funny, and then also disarmed me. And even from your perspective, I'd be like, you can even talk about like can a 15-year-old kid from India actually like outconvert some, a 40-year-old American who's been studying copy for 20 years? Like, I think the answer is yeah, here's why. Just stuff like that. I mean, even play with people's, because, I think we're so much more international as an industry and cosmopolitan. There are people from all different countries and walks of life. But then I think there's also probably some people have like an inherent, like, I don't know if it's like a prejudice, but they're like, oh, there's so many people in India who want to try and get jobs and they can't write. And yeah, biases. Thank you, Gerline and Isaak. Yeah. I think you could sort of just call those out and play with those and flip those on their head. Cause so I turn both the things that you're 15 and that you're in India into like assets. And I think if you do that stuff, and you're going to get a lot of people's attention, because it's a total, like it is preempting an objection. And it's like a total pattern interrupt too, that you're just sort of, whatever bullshit they're kind of going to put in their head and try and label you or box you in as, now you just called it out and you're like, yeah, what's up? I'm right here. I think that's, can really do well for you. So that's the best advice I could share as well. So sure. Is that helpful, man?
Yeah, totally. Thank you. And Ed, I do hip hop dancing, and yeah, that feels amazing to know that you also break dance.
Let's go, baby.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Beautiful. A lot of young people, man.
I love it. I love it, man. I just think you young whippersnappers who don't know what Doogie Howser is, but you guys have such a leg up, right? It's so sick. It's so cool. It's like, because there's a whole generation now. I'm gonna sound like an old man talking, but it's true. Like, there's a whole generation of people who have been raised on the internet, like what you're talking about. And I think I'm lucky because I got cable internet when I was like 12. I had a deal where if I got on honor roll because I was a shitty student, my parents were like, we'll get cable internet. And then I immediately used it to like essentially just like, download pornography and that was about all, and stream, illegally download movies and porn and video games. But in music, for sure, I got sued by Napster, obviously, and Metallica. Yes. But yeah, because you guys don't know what Napster is either. But it was this music thing. You went on it, you could kind of download music illegally. But the point is, I did also leverage that, LimeWire all day. it gave me a leg up. So I think I was born right at that cusp. But like, just to talk about me feeling old, even though I'm only 34, is I remember my senior year of high school, I was at my friend Max's house. We were playing poker. I had a cell phone, which I'd only had for like a year. And like this girl who I kind of had been talking to at school, like texted me. And I remember looking at my phone and being like, what the hell is this? Like she just sent me like a text. I have to like write her back. We're not gonna get on the phone. I have to like text. And so, which is kind of funny, but I still feel like I was just right at that cusp, but that was my experience. And now I think about someone like Ed or Shura, who we just talked, to, who are literally coming up on this stuff, right? Like you were in 11 watching dating VSLs and like you're learning about like how to get girls and everything. And it's just incredible the opportunities that you guys are going to have, and you're going to blow people like me and everyone who's like older than 30, like out of the water in the years to come. So it's really awesome. But with that being said, Ed, let's keep going through questions here. I'm
excited. We are bringing back Omezikam Ugwa again, which I'm super excited about.
Yes.
So she says, people say money loves speed. So do you, Stefan. I feel like I don't do stuff fast enough. How do you push yourself to execute stuff faster?
What's up, Omezikam? How are you? You're muted right now. She may have been off doing something and she didn't know that her moment was coming, Ed.
Dang, maybe I caught her at a bad time.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
there you are. What's
hello,
up?
there she is.
I was trying to unlock my phone, so.
No problem.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the question essentially. I just feel like every time I'm working on something, I just feel like, especially when I hear that phrase, I feel like, oh my God, I could be doing stuff much faster, but it just doesn't seem to go that way for me. And sometimes, to be honest with me, it kind of makes me feel a little bit upset at myself, which just makes stuff slower and stuff like that. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. The feeling I get, because for example, you've asked me like 20 questions about compliance in the RMBC group, and you obsess over it a little bit. So the reason I bring that up, which is totally fine, I've answered it. We did an answer on one of these calls. I think the last call as well. We talked about it. What I think about is, to me, I'm guessing it seems to show like you have a really strong attention to detail, and you really want to have mastery over something and make sure that you kind of get it right. And I don't know if you're really a perfectionist, but I do think that there's a degree of mastery and attention to detail that then, because that's such a focus of yours, that's probably what slows you down. Does that seem like fair, or does that seem like I'm just totally making up something about you that's not true?
Yeah, well, it seems kind of fair, but to be honest with you, then again, I for the longest time, I struggled with also believing that I was like smart enough to do stuff like what we do in our industry, because all the stuff that you get told growing up, like if you're not a straight A student, stuff like that, it was really only like a couple of years ago. And to be honest with you, I still thank that industry for opening my eyes. It was I did a little bit of network marketing. That's how I started my journey to entrepreneurship a couple of years ago. And that industry is so big on mindset, because they get a lot of hate. So you really have to be very strong-willed, and like your mindset has to be right to be able to do well in that industry. So, but that has continued to happen. Sometimes I just feel like, yeah, it's about wanted to really get it right, but maybe at the same time wanted to prove myself that I'm not. Yes, I wasn't book smart in school, but then again, I'm not dumb. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not dumb. You're super intelligent from everything I've seen.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, and then so I wonder if part of the slowness too is like a self-protection thing, right? Like, do you feel like there's an inner battle between like what, like do you struggle? Do you put stuff off to gain, like maybe you start working on it, but to get to like the finish, like is it slow? Are you slow to start or are you slow to finish? And I'm guessing the answer is slow to finish, right?
Slow to finish. Sometimes I even completely leave it, and I'm just like, I beat myself up about it over and over, and it's like, it's a strange thing, to be honest.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's almost like and of course I'm no psychologist, but like a self-protection or preservation mechanism, because like the longer you put it off finishing it, then as long as it's not finished and nobody can criticize you or nobody can say that, hey, you're a fraud, or, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, or you're not smart, or whatever it is. And so by kind of taking longer on it, you're sort of, you know, helping to delay a potential pain that maybe subconsciously you feel like could be there and that could, you know, really hurt you were it to happen.
Yeah.
That's a pattern I've seen a lot. I've, you know, experienced it. The first time I recognized it, I had a big presentation for like 200 chiropractors, selling them like a marketing package. This is back in 2013 when I was kind of had like an agency, and it was like the potential to you know, make me earn $10,000 a month for the first time ever type thing. And I kept putting it off. And when I really thought about it and waited, and really looked into why I was doing it, it's because I was, you know, afraid. I was just scared. Well, what if it goes badly? What if people don't like it and all that? And realizing that that was why I wasn't finishing it. And so I just wonder about with you, with what you're doing. So if that's the case, and that, you know, you're sort of you're going slower to protect yourself, then for me, it would come back to, and if you don't mind, just mute yourself for a second too, just because I hear a little bit of background noise on it. But I do want to talk to you more. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. I go back to like, what's like the worst outcome that happens, right? What happens if you finish the project and give it to a client and the client says, I don't like it? You know, like, what does that really mean? Does that mean like, well, let's answer this. Have you had happy clients?
I'm actually working on landing my first client. Like the food pain thing I asked you about in the group was for a company that I saw online, then the food pain niche, and then I like what they do. So I'm just kind of writing a landing page for their stuff, because I think they have something really good, and I've seen all their Facebook ads, and it's just going to like their homepage, which is like horrible, and I'm sure that they're definitely losing money on the ad. They might be making sales, yes, it's possible, but I feel like, you know, just taking a customer to a landing page that is just your homepage is a disaster. So I'm just doing something for them, and obviously I'm not going to tell them that what they're doing is a disaster. I'm just doing that for them, and then when I submit, I'm hoping like they would like it, and then, you know, get me to work with them.
That makes sense. And I do feel though that there is a bit of a numbers game aspect to it as well. And so I think what you're doing is awesome. And it's something that I've obviously preached myself, but, you know, I think because there's still a chance you're going to do all of that and no one's going to respond to you. And that doesn't mean that it's because you suck or anything. It just is because the right person didn't see it, or it wasn't the right time, or they're secretly about to go bankrupt and close the business or whatever it is. So I think you've got to just sort of put yourself out there a bit more. I would focus on, you know, accepting that what you're doing is good. I mean, you're going through the training, you have the resources, you're in RMBC, you're doing all of these things. It's going to be better than what 98% of people would have sent that way anyway. And then from there, you know, I'd start looking at getting more clients and sort of and get it out there. And then what you're going to find is that there's going to be clients where what you do is amazing and crushes it. And you're going to find that sometimes your stuff bombs, but none of that means that you should have gone to school or done better and gotten A's in school, or that you're stupid or something. It just means that that's the nature of this business. So I think if you kind of think about the outcome and what like the worst case really is for any of these things, and then, you know, can you live with that? Can you live with somebody, you know, not your copy not doing well? And it's like the first thing you ever did. And if you can't, then you got to think about that, because it's the first thing you're ever writing basically for a client. So I think you just have to really, I think about that, and I think about how become a little more detached from it. It's okay. It's okay if it fails. It's okay if it doesn't do well. And the only way we get better, every failure is what moves us closer to a success, right? And that's like kind of cliche, but it's super true. Every time we fail, it gets us closer to our win. And so if we didn't fail, we would never win. And so I think if you look at it that way, you just have to get that stuff out there. I don't have the perfect answer, but is that helpful to you?
Yes, definitely. I see where you're going with everything you're saying.
Okay, good. So when are you going to be done with what you're working on right now? Because you've been working on that for a little bit now.
Yeah, I gave myself a deadline for the end of this week. Today I did I completed the unique mechanism and then the brief, and hopefully I can start writing the copy tomorrow.
Okay. And you're trying to have it done by like Sunday night?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, do that. Be done by Sunday. And then just tell
All right.
yourself that whatever you get to at that point is good. I mean, look, you're saying these people, you could send them half of it. You know what I mean? You could send them a new lead and a new headline and a new, like, part of the page and be like, hey, let's start here. You don't, you're sending them something for free for them to test. So take a little bit of pressure off yourself, but let me know, post in the RMBC group, because you're in there, when you've finished it. And if you don't finish it, we're going to talk more about it next week. But let's just say you're going to finish it. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I will. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Beautiful. Oh, awesome. Okay. We have another supplement company question here for you. I'm sure they're still on. Yes, we got a question here from Paris. D, what's the greatest challenge you face in creating your supplement business? How much would you say it costs to start one? And will you be making a course on this?
Cool. Hey, Paris.
Hi there. So I saw in your email today that you were talking about starting a e-commerce business and also like a supplement business for around $5,000. I guess there's a little controversy going on. There's a couple comments about that not being enough or something, but and then I also saw in like one of your videos, like your YouTube videos, that you mentioned in one of the comments, you're like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about my next course being on how to like start a supplement business. So yeah, I was just curious to hear your experience, how much you think it would cost. I think somebody in the comment on my comment said you need a minimum of like 100,000, but I guess I'm just curious to hear how your journey went.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. And I haven't been on Facebook to see that, but I just wanted to roll my eyes really hard when somebody said 100,000. It's the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Like just being super blunt. It's so silly. Look, yeah, I kind of went over this on the previous call that we did too, but I'll do it again. Like, okay, if you can write your own copy, especially, like what are your expenses for starting a supplement company? Let's use a supplement company as an example. It's going to be inventory, sales copy, building out your funnel. Okay, so if you can write your own copy, then that's not an expense. Inventory, there's multiple supplement manufacturers who will provide on demand for you, which means that you're only going to pay them when you sell a bottle of your supplement. And they also do fulfillment. So you're only paying for fulfillment and manufacturing when you sell a bottle. So you don't have any inventory costs. So those are out the window too. Merchant processing is free. You don't need, it's not free, but you don't pay for it up front. You pay for it as you make sales. So really, what does that leave? It leaves a CRM, which would be like something that you could start with ClickBank, where they provide a lot of that, or you could do something in ClickFunnels and build your funnel on ClickFunnels. And I think ClickFunnels starts at like $97 a month or something like that. You do need merchant processing, but if again, ClickBank can handle that. You don't really need a call center to start. You can just you could do email support yourself, or you could hire somebody for $10 an hour to answer emails and maybe pay them, $400 a month when you're starting out. And you don't need to pay for media or traffic. You don't have to buy Facebook ads. You don't have to buy native ads or buy Google ads, or anything like that nature. You can work with affiliates. So you can if you have relationships through Facebook groups, through things like this, right? Like if you email me and you say, hey, here's this new supplement thing I've created. Here's a sales letter. I'm looking to kind of test it out. I'm paying an X dollar CPA, and CPA means we're only going to pay money if somebody buys. Do you have a list you could send it to? And if I looked at the page and thought it was good, I'd be like, yeah, let me get this to my team and we'll mail for it. So then we're going to send traffic, like send, eyeballs to the site, and you're only going to have to pay us for that traffic if it converts. So, you may pay us $50 per sale or $100 per sale or whatever. There's a little bit of maybe there's some tech integrations between building out the funnel and the design and the integrating everything to a ClickBank or whatever it is. So, maybe that's a couple $1,000, but I find it basically impossible to see how it would be, how you'd have to go over $5,000. I just don't see it at all. And then, yeah, I do want to make a course at some point for this exact reason, because I think I think people just overcomplicate stuff. Like, look, do you want a really great, amazing custom formulation that you've gotten double-blind studies on and research, and it has all these patent ingredients? Like, sure, great. But like, do that after you launch with like a minimal viable product, like, and, you know, use an on-demand formulation that has good ingredients in it and start building up sales. And then at that point, that's when you can actually, like, you know, if you want to then invest in more high-end stuff, custom stuff and all of that. But yeah, so I do want to do a course. I'm doing a freelancing course with Ian Stanley that we're trying to launch on July 6th. So it's going to be after that, but I'd like to do it. And the same thing applies to almost anything. Like, to what I pointed out today, like, you can do drop shipping. How many 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds have made millions of dollars through drop shipping now? Like, drop shipping is kind of annoying, but all drop shipping is kind of like the on-demand model. Like, people have, there's giant networks of millions of products that you can sell online, and you only pay once you made the sale, and then a third-party company is holding the product and ships it out. The problem with drop shipping is that it can take like 3 weeks for fulfillment to happen, so customers can get annoyed, and it's not necessarily scalable. It's scalable to like a couple million, but it's hard to make like $100 million drop shipping business. But within that realm of those products, you can do like t-shirts, you could do clothing, you could do anything. And then there's print-on-demand clothing companies, and there's print-on-demand book companies. You want to sell, like, you can do it on demand. Like, you don't have to invest in inventory. It's such a bullshit like myth. And I made a mistake with my own health supplement company where I was spending, you know, $250,000 at a time in inventory and had no cash flow. And suddenly I was like, you can just do this on demand, and you only pay for things once you've sold them. And people were like, yeah. And it was just like a eye opener for me, because suddenly all of this cash flow freed up, and I was able to scale so much more. And same thing with affiliates. I was buying media, buying email drops, paying people to promote stuff, like paying in advance. And it was costing me all this money, and you're hoping to break even. And then I finally embraced affiliates, and I'm like, these people will just send traffic at their own risk, and I only pay them if I make sales. So suddenly my advertising costs, like up front, like go to zero. My risk goes to zero, and my only thing I'm paying for is if stuff goes well. And again, this is from somebody here, my perspective. I've personally sold at least $100 million worth of supplements. And probably, if you include things that I've run copy for and been sort of like a partner in, well, if you include like copy I've written, it's like 500, 600 million, but like, even like more directly involved, like a couple $100 million. I mean, I've done this countless times for, like, I don't know, dozens of different supplement funnels. So Paris, I know I kind of went on a bit of a rant on that, but does that help and make sense?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's really helpful. I never really thought about using like the affiliate route. I guess I like wondered how you were able to kind of like budget with, you know, media buying and all that kind of stuff. But you're saying that you kind of just send it off to affiliates that you've, I guess, met through social networking and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, from events is a great place. So going to Traffic and Conversion Summit and Affiliate Summit West and East, and going to masterminds and things of that nature. But also, yeah, just through Facebook groups and communities that you're involved in, and being active with kind of networking that way. It's totally something cool. And you just say, like, it's a new offer. I think it's great. Check it out. If you can test it out, like, I'd love to give you an X CPA, whatever it is. So maybe they're giving them a $50 CPA, which is getting cost per acquisition. You only have to risk a little capital on that, because if, say you randomly are only getting $40 per order and you're paying $50, and you might lose some money there. But usually if you kind of follow the right steps, you won't. And there are some people who will say, oh, I only send to really, proven offers. And usually they're people with really large lists who would be capable of doing thousands of sales over a course of a month or whatever it is. There's a ton of people out there with smaller lists who are always looking for new things to promote and trying to make money from their list, because you're doing them a favor. They have a list of buyers, and they're trying to make more money from that list of buyers. So if they can send those buyers to your page and they buy your stuff and you pay them every time they do, they're making a bunch of money from it. There's a lot of marketers who own supplement companies or own info product companies or whatever, and they're making most of their money not on the front end, not even from their sales, but from their email list. And all they're doing is looking for more things to offers, more funnels, more things to send traffic to.
Yeah, so you kind of get your email list built off of somebody else's, like after they make that first purchase. Is that right?
Yep, 100%. And that's the amazing thing. And then once your email list is built, depending on your goals, you can, build deep relationships and kind of sell more, create new products, which you can still do on demand and throw up landing pages. And once they bought once from you, they'll keep doing it. But in addition to that, if you want to then promote other people's offers, you can too. And then you can do recips. So you're like, hey, if I'd love for you to send to my page, and then I'd be happy to send to your page. And the big secret there, like I used to be afraid to promote other people's offers to my health supplement list early on, because I was like, well, then they're going to get emails from those people who are trying to promote and they won't buy from me anymore. But that's not what happens. That's the funny thing. It's like if somebody buys like a supplement once, or skincare product once, they're going to buy more. Like that's the best person to sell to, because they want to keep buying more. It's like what Justin, who's my partner in Copy Accelerator, talks about, and like with upsells too. Like if somebody just bought like one thing, that's the best person to like, if someone's never bought turmeric and somebody else has bought turmeric and you're selling turmeric, you'd rather sell to the person who's already bought turmeric before, because they're a proven buyer. And it's the same concept with your email list as well. Yeah.
What's your take on like kind of like the older style of like direct mail and stuff like that? Would you go that route, or is that kind of just antiquated in this space?
I don't think it's antiquated, and I think it's a valuable thing that can increase revenue and profitability. But I think early on it would be a mistake and like a waste of money and not necessary. I think I would wait until I have something that's working and proven, and then I would invest money into that, because that is going to cost more money. Typically you have to like rent out the list, write a direct mail promo, which normally the guys who write those things charge a lot of money. The good ones, like 30, 50,000, 75,000 plus royalties. And then they're, you don't know if it worked or not for like a month. But again, if you have your own list of buyers, then test out direct mail. Like For Patriots, which is a large company in the survival space, they do that. They do direct mail to their people. A lot of big companies will do that. But yeah, so I think it's valuable, but I don't think you should need to do it out of the gate.
Yeah. Sounding like that affiliate idea is definitely interesting. So you just kind of go like so you say, for example, like you hire a copywriter, or you are your own copywriter, you create your offer, and then you just post it on ClickBank, or?
Yeah, you get it set up on ClickBank, and then I would again, or you could build your own funnel if you find the people who help you to do that. But yeah, and if you just put it on ClickBank, some people might try it out, but I'd be a little bit more wary there. I'd rather have it controlled to where once I have the funnel up, I can build relationships with people who I know and who I trust, and get a few of those people to send to it and see how it converts and what the metrics are. And then if the metrics are looking good, then you can take that as ammunition and go to even more people and be like, hey, here's this offer. It's doing great. So-and-so sent for it and they did awesome. So-and-so sent for it and they did awesome. You can kind of leverage it. And once you have that proof, then you can really start bringing it out to more and more people, and kind of grow your sales that way.
Yeah. So how do you pay your affiliates? Is that all like, I guess, automated, or?
With ClickBank, it's automated. ClickBank does do, I think, a percentage of your sale more often. So people will say like 75% of the front end amount total or whatever it is. But they do it for you automatically. If you're going to do it not on ClickBank, then, you just have to just create payment terms with them. So it could be, every 14 days, or it could be every 30 days, like net 30 plus 7, meaning you'll get paid for like 30-day periods plus 7 days, because we need time to do the accounting and send you the checks. And it'll just depend. If someone who can send a lot of traffic and really, they're going to want to get paid faster generally. Whereas somebody who only sends a little bit, like they usually understand they have to wait a little bit longer. But you'll just have to do the accounting and then send out payments via PayPal or Wire or whatever.
Okay, yeah. All right, thanks so much. This has been so eye-opening and insightful. I appreciate it. Awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to go look at whoever was hating on my stuff and saying 100,000 and argue with them after this call. But thank you, Paris.
Yeah, it was actually on one of the comments that I like my question in the box. But where was that? One of the questions in the box.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's great. Well, I'm excited to, well, now we know how I feel. But okay, cool. Ed, thank you, Paris.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we got one last question for today from my buddy Jazz Courtenay. He says, I just sent my first email to a list yesterday and got my first 30 sales for a client. Good job, Jazz.
Nice, Jazz.
They're letting me see the data and I'm still new to interpreting it. Are there any metrics that are important to track what to keep doing and stop doing besides revenue? I'm seeing the percent who added to cart, percent who reached checkout, percent who converted, and a Google Doc with a list of people who ordered and their cart value.
Cool. What's up, Jazz? You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'm totally new to interpreting this, and I just want to know what to look at to because I want to constantly improve with the email. I want to keep on getting better, and I don't really know what numbers to look at to get that feedback.
Okay, perfect. And the email, was this for? Okay, so 30 sales for a client. So, what was the what's the client selling?
He sells beard products.
Beard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was like beer or beard. I'm like beer. Send me the domain. Beard. Also cool. Yeah. Okay, sweet. So the data you're getting, percentage of add to cart. Do you have data on the actual email itself, like the open rate, click-through rate, stuff like that?
Yeah, I can get that because the first email I sent, like I even asked Ed the other day because I don't even know what's a good open rate and what's not. But the first email apparently has a really good open rate. It was 25%. But
yeah.
The number he's showing me he can get all those numbers for me. I just don't even know what numbers to ask for.
Right. So yeah, so I'm going to ask ones that I would be wanting to know. Cause like, so I'd want to know, yeah, on the emails, like the open rate and then the click-through rate. And then I'd want to know kind of what the average is, right? So is that like better than average, aligned with average? Is it worse than average? Because if it was, I did the email perform really well or not? Because I also want to know too, like say the open rate's amazing, like, oh my gosh, it was like a 35% open rate, but the click-through rate is 1% and normally it's 5%. That means that your subject line was great, but your copy in the email was not great, or it wasn't congruent with the subject line or something like that. The percentage who added to cart is good to know, because what I'm thinking about there is again, I can write an amazing email with an amazing open rate and an amazing click-through rate, but the conversions might be shit. And the reason why is because there was a disconnect, right? If I'm like Donald Trump, like hidden heart like tumor discovered, and then like Donald Trump has a heart tumor, this is crazy, like click here to find out, like the open rate is gonna be huge and the click-through rate is gonna be huge. But then if my product's like, are you tired of a dry beard, right? Like nobody's gonna buy. Everyone's gonna be like F you and spam, and my conversion rate will suck. So that's the kind of the mentality with the email. So knowing percent that add to cart, who reached checkout, who converted, those are all good. I think of those, the conversion metric is probably the most important, because you didn't write. Did you write the sales page too, or did you just write the email?
They have a basic landing page that they kind of just sourced from an email I wrote for them yesterday. They didn't have anything before, so they have a basic landing page it goes to, and then it goes to the checkout page.
Cool. Do you know what percentage converted?
Yeah, I do. So yesterday, 12.34% added to cart, 8.44% reached checkout, and 4.87% converted.
Okay, that's a good conversion rate though. What and what was the average order value, average cart value?
$9.97.
$9.90. So is the offer like a free trial, or is it a like a get a starter kit for $9.97 or free plus shipping, or what's the actual offer?
Oh, Stefan, did we lose you?
Yeah.
Oh, am I here now or am I gone?
You're back. Welcome back.
Okay. Sorry. So the conversion rate's good. But $9.97 though. So what is the actual offer? Is it like a free plus shipping or a free trial, or?
It's free plus shipping. Okay.
4.47. So in that case, the conversion rate could probably be higher, but that's not really your fault, because they threw up a landing page really fast. I'd be looking at Are you more interested? You're more interested in the email performance or like the total funnel performance? Like realistically, what's kind of the part? Because you wrote the email, so you have more control over that. Is that what are you more interested in that part, or what are you thinking?
The overall funnel performance, because I can write that too. I just wanted to make more money.
Yeah. So knowing the conversion rate is good. Again, knowing that it's are they doing any upsells right now?
No upsells. This is just minimal viable.
Right. So the things I'd be doing for them, I mean, I do test some more landing pages, because I think at a $9.97, free plus shipping product, at 4.47%. Well, let me ask one more question. Was the list pretty targeted? Was it like men who like beard like products, or was it like men in general, or was it just like people who bought Home and Gardens magazine? Because if it's people who bought Home and Gardens magazine, then 4.47% is like incredible. If it's like dudes who want to have shiny beards, then 4.47% probably underperformed. So do you know what the list was made up of?
Yeah, so the list comes from anyone who lands on the website, and then they get hit with that exit pop-up, and they can enter their email. So it kind of got built up over time from that, and also just for people who actually ordered. So it's about 25% wives who might buy the beard oil or beard products for their husbands, and then 75% guys.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think there's opportunity there to increase the conversion rate a pretty decent amount. Yeah, I think it's fine. 4.47 is not bad, but I would look at opportunities there. I personally like the metric of earnings per click. So on the email side, I'd want that metric, right? So if they grossed $200 or $300, say they grossed, and there was 300 clicks, then it was like $1 EPC, right? Which is like good. I guess that would be a 10% conversion rate, so it's not accurate. But I'm just trying to, but knowing what the earnings per click is helpful, because if I can kind of get that up. And then I would be adding in upsells for sure to get the AOV up more. The big unknown for them is what's the LTV going to be, because I'm guessing at the free plus shipping, the goal is that they're going to, of course, come back and order more or get on a subscription or whatever. And I don't know if they have that data yet, but that's something you do want to keep an eye on. Simon had asked about adding an order bump. What I would say to that is I would totally test that, but I wouldn't make that automatic, because what I found is that, like right now, I would actually I would still test it and make sure it doesn't hurt conversions, but you might as well, because there's no upsells. So maybe it's like, hey, want to get this bundle of premium male facial like wash products for $19.99, like yes, and that'll probably increase AOV by a couple of dollars. But once you have upsells, sometimes you may have a lot of people take that order bump, but then fewer people take the upsells, and it affects your overall average order value. So I would be testing it for that reason. But I think you've got the right metrics, because I'm just looking at how the email performed, and then on the funnel, okay, what's the conversion rate, and then what's the average order value, and what's the lifetime value. Those are the main. I wouldn't overcomplicate it. Those are the big things that I'd be looking at right now.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I wish I could answer more questions. I know I went really deep on some of these, and I'm kind of bummed. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'll go for 10 more minutes if Ed's okay with it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. If you're not, if you got to pee, man, you can let me know.
No, bro, I'm good. Don't worry.
Let's try to get like 1 or 2 more questions. I just really, because I know there's a lot.
Okay, sounds good. So guys, vote for whatever question you want next. But I'm going to, let's see here.
And I might go a little bit faster on these, but I'm not going to give you a surface level answer still. So
you never do.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. This is a really good question from Isaac. I know Isaac. So Isaac says he's planning on independently releasing a novel using a funnel to boost his AOV. He's currently educating in copywriting and funnel building, so this will be largely a case study. However, he's only personally found book funnels for nonfiction books. What recommendations do you have in terms of further educating himself, or how to structure his offer and funnel to maximize this first business foray? And he says, the novel will be the first in a series.
Sweet. How you doing, Isaac?
Hey, man, I didn't think I was going to be able to get on here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad to have you. And it's a really cool question too. So
yeah, Appreciate it.
Yeah. By the way, too, really quickly for everybody, one thing I'd say for you, Isaak, is like, you're somebody who is pretty active in the Facebook groups and like you comment and stuff. And so even though we haven't interacted a whole lot, when like, just like Ed was like, oh, I know Isaak, when I've seen you in the chat today, I'm like, oh, cool, Isaac's here. And that just is a quick point to everybody about why it's important to be active. Because now, even though you and I don't like know each other, like I feel like I know you some. So I just wanted to point that out to everybody.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. I mean, it's just, you always learn things that you don't expect when you're active and stuff like that. And something like this can happen. So it's like, what do you have to lose? And you have so much to gain,
100%. Given what you're doing, which is really cool, because I want to write more novels if I ever have the time. But I would do a couple of things. I would look at what Jason Kutasi is doing. His company is called Puppy Dogs and Ice Cream. He's doing mostly children's books, but that still is, still is fiction. He'll sell 5,000, 10,000 copies of books a day. Like his big issue is because he's selling online. He's not registered with like, these publishers, and so what the other crap is, like he doesn't get listed on the New York Times bestseller list and things like that. But if they did track those metrics, he's like outselling, like Stephen King sometimes. Right. And he's doing that through, really strong Facebook ads. And then honestly, I haven't looked at his landing pages in a while. We've tested a little bit more of like long form, but I think it's just really nice, colorful landing pages. It does talk about some of the aspects of the books being like they're longer, so the children are more engaged. They're designed by, educational experts, etc. For something like a novel, I'd probably focus on. Well, I would watch what he was doing. I would consider making like a book trailer. Some people would do that, where it's like a 2-minute video that's kind of like with like B-roll, like or like stock video and kind of like action oriented. If you had a good video, so go ahead.
Yeah, I had some ideas for kind of cinematic almost like video ads, because ever since starting with copywriting, it's made me realize how important the thing that sells the thing is. So it's like, if you build it up, kind of like you're saying, it doesn't have to be just a book. It can be like the experience and whatever it is that you really get them to believe in. Yeah, exactly. And then I think the series aspect is really important. I talked with Jason maybe a year and a half ago about doing like an imprint for what he was doing, because I just thought it was an interesting niche. And I thought about doing it with my own writing. And then I thought about even starting like a romance novel business. And like I had a girl. Yeah. I had a girl on my team who was like, because I would joke that I could make all these Nicholas Sparks type of books, like ideas, right? Where it's like, two guys in the cave in Afghanistan, and they're stuck, but then they're thinking back to like how they met their true loves and like blah, blah, blah. Huh. Just random stuff like that. But the big thing that Jason had talked about, and to your point, was that the series is really vital, because once someone buys one book and they're invested in the series, then they're much more likely to come back and want to buy more, and to like just sort of make it automatic. Right. So having a series and having like a main character who ideally is followed throughout the series is, I think, a really important point too. But yeah, look at what Jason's doing. I honestly, you could probably just reach out to him, and he might ignore you for a little bit. But if you kept reaching out and said, "I'd love like 10 minutes of your time," keep digging the well. Yep. Yeah, and he might even like, I don't know, if you want to totally self-publish it, do it. But he may even be like, "Oh, I'll partner with you." You just never know, and you may not want to, but he does have the ability to drive crazy amounts of traffic to sell books. So, I would look at that. I mean, if you want like an intro, shoot me an email, and I'll forward it to Jason, or I'll do like a reply all with him on it, and just tell him. Thanks. Yeah, just tell me what the book's about, kind of what your goals are, a little background, and then and again, I don't know if he'll have the time or not, but I think that's a good place for you to start. Well, I really appreciate it, Stefan. I wasn't even expecting to get my call on today, so this is all just gravy to me. Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm happy to help. Yeah. Thanks again. All right, cool. And let's do one more.
Let's do it. All right. Good question here from, let's make sure he's on. Oh, he's not on. Okay, next one. Cool. Got a question here from JD Krause, I think it's Krause. Connective question. How do you use connective in your tech stack? For example, your sales page, or just your CRM, or your full funnel solution?
Sweet. What's up, JD? How are you?
Hey, good, Stefan. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty self-explanatory question. If you want to add anything to it, feel free to.
Yeah. Well, I just saw that you recommended it, and in the Facebook, one of the Facebook comments or something, and I'd never heard of it, but I'm familiar with different CRMs. Maropost is one that we've used from Canada. And I'm really looking for kind of the best tool or tech stack. Love to get your recommendation on what you love for sales pages, what you like for building out full funnels, and then for your CRM as well.
Cool. Yeah, historically, I honestly do pretty much everything like kind of custom. I use Connective as a CRM most often. I do have funnels right now that are on Limelight, but I think Limelight's fine as well, but I just think Connective is better. So typically we're doing like custom HTML for the funnels. Although now with Connective, they have Funnel Connect, so you can totally build funnels there. Another cool thing you can do with Connective and with Funnel Connect is you can build something in ClickFunnels, which is really easy. And there's like a one-click button in Funnel Connect where it'll take like the ClickFunnels code. It'll take a full funnel or page, rip it in Funnel Connect, and like it happens in like a minute. It basically uploads it into like Funnel Connect, and then it cleans out all of the garbage so that it basically cleans up 95% of the code. So you basically can use ClickFunnels to build stuff, import into Funnel Connect in a couple of minutes, and have it operate way faster, and then still use Connective as your CRM. That's a really cool kind of hack that they've created. On the analytics side, yeah, it's really cool. Well, analytics, I mean, you know, the easiest thing is just like Google Analytics. You can get way more kind of fancier there. And I like, we've been using Everflow for one of my businesses, which is a way, it's kind of like a reporting system, and it helps to manage affiliates and give you data on everybody and break down all the important metrics. So I've been really liking Everflow. So, cause even if you use Connective, like it's going to be good for as a CRM and for like customer stuff and the processing of payments and balancing mids and all of this kind of stuff. But Everflow is really nice for kind of looking at how different funnels are performing and all of those vital metrics. So I think that's a really good solution. And then on the email side, yeah, I think Maropost or whatever is awesome. I think it's a little bit expensive and over the top for a lot of people. Historically, yeah, I always used Entreport historically for my own, you know, personal email lists and what I do. I use ActiveCampaign, but for health supplement stuff, it was Entreport. I do have companies with Maropost too, but I don't know. I've always been happy with Entreport, so I'd probably just use them.
Cool. Could I ask just a really quick, maybe like 30-second answer or something?
Sure.
Real estate copywriters. So I've been a real estate investor for years, and it just hit me as I was listening to you talk. I haven't heard you talk much about opportunities writing copy specifically for real estate developments, communities, leasing, auctions, like for Sotheby's or some of these big retail, you know, brokers and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think people should be. I think that I love real estate. I love looking at listings. I love reading even like the descriptions of listings, right? When people, like, you look at like a $4 million, $5 million, $10 million home and like the description, and sometimes people are so half-assed and sometimes they paint this glorious picture. I think there's tremendous opportunities there. I think if you're the actual, you know, realtor or the listing agent, you could be having better like headlines about the house and like something memorable. You could be having something unique about the house. I think it's totally underutilized. From like there are, you know, people who do copy for like real estate investing, like seminars and things of that nature. I mean, Grant Cardone is doing a ton of that, right? But even as far as just specifically to selling real estate, I think copy is extremely applicable to that. But you know, a lot of people who are doing it they haven't studied copy and they just don't know.
Okay, I just didn't know if you knew of anybody that was crushing it from a freelancer standpoint, focusing specifically on that niche.
No, I don't, but I think it's a very crushable niche. I think there's really good opportunities there for sure.
Cool. All right, thanks so much, Stefan. Thanks,
yeah.
Ed.
Awesome. All right, cool. So for anybody whose question, I like that the big takeaway from today in the chat has been that Ed's email list is is happening. Did you have a list already, or you now are creating one? Because now you do.
They're just asking for it.
And his breakdown, yeah, pretty much everyone in chat wants to be on Ed's list. So look at that. So secret to how you get a list is just do a radio show. But hey, everybody, thank you guys so much for coming and joining and asking questions. If we didn't get to your question today, I am really sorry, but we will be back next Thursday, and just love to be able to spend time with everybody. Please make sure, for everyone who's watching on the replay here or who listens to this or whatever, just make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If you watch on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you listen to this as a podcast, whatever you're using for the podcast stuff, please share these things with your friends, like in the future calls, like the links to be on them live, the links on YouTube, everything like that. The more you guys share, the more people we bring on, the better. It really will help me to be motivated to keep doing this, because I do want to get this out to as many people as possible. So please help me out. Spread this as much as possible. We're going so deep. I'm trying to give as much value as I can. Please share the stuff with others. I'll have a replay link for this tomorrow that I'll email out to my list. And thank you everyone so much. Ed, do you have anything you want to add in there?
Have yourselves a great day, and don't forget to have some fun.
It can be your signature sign-off line from now on, Ed. All right.
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk soon, guys. Thank you so much.